righty, folks, and a very good morning to you. Thank you very much for joining us for the Thursday edition of Gudday Grenada. I'm George Grant, better known as Little Red Riding Hood. Yeah, feeling on top of the world this morning, even though we've had some early morning showers here, but as I took a look outside just a few moments ago, it seems to have started clearing up, so hopefully we're in for a good day. Pilgrims, 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 pilgrims. Let's take a look and see what's happening on the rundown this morning. We're going to begin with Dominica. Yes, sirree. Democracy demands peaceful citizen participation. That is the U.S. reaction to what's happening in Dominica. You know, tomorrow's the big day, eh? We'll see what happens. I have a statement from the American ambassador to Barbados in the Eastern Caribbean, Linda Tagliatella. And we'll get to that in just a wee bit. And then I'm also going to play you a short video from a Dominican E.N.T specialist, an ear, nose, and throat specialist. He's calling for change in Dominica, and he explains why. And then, we're going to go to Mr. Alan Bierzynski. It's Thursday morning. I expect he's going to be here somewhere between 9:15 and 9:20 this morning. And yeah, we'll save the national report for the end of this morning's program. So there you have it. That's your rundown on this Thursday morning. Let's see here, very quickly. First up this morning, Ernesto Osmond is second, Peter Bishop third, Floyd Nichols fourth, Hazel Ferguson, you're dropping, girl. Hazel is, what is that, fourth or fifth? 1, 2, 3, 4, she's fifth. Margaret's saying, hello, everyone. Bernard Gilbert saying good morning. Chester is there. Claude Pudna is also saying good morning. Kipling Francis sending his blessings. And Ryan Jaban is, he says, resplendent in red. Well, thank you, sir. Ryan. Fitzroy Adams saying good morning. And Joan Wellington is saying a wonderful good morning, Mr. George, and all viewers to this wonderful program. Blessed day to all. And Lydia James is there. Hello, Lydia. Bradley Vespre saying good morning and sending blessings and guidance. Thank you, boy. Do we ever need that? Ryan Jaban saying, hope the army is not released on the Dominica people. Well, got a phone call this morning from somebody who said that she heard from a friend of hers this morning who called her from Dominica saying that there was tear gas in her village last night. Yeah. Oh boy. I don't think we're happy about what we see going on up there at all. Okay, so here we go this morning. We are gonna stick those thingies up there. The United States obviously has its eyes on Dominica as the countdown continues to tomorrow's general elections. Yesterday, the ambassador to Barbados in the OECS, Linda Tagliatella, issued the following statement. Listen carefully. The reports of political violence in Dominica in recent weeks are incongruent with the history of stable parliamentary democracy in the Eastern Caribbean. Free, fair, and transparent elections are hallmarks of any good democracy and an indication of good governance and leadership. Equally so, the conduct of peaceful campaigns, rallies, and demonstrations beforehand, and the acceptance of the will of the people after a fair vote are intrinsic parts of democracy. We must be steadfast in our support for democracy, citizens, and transparent governments alike. Responsible civic participation is the fundamental basis of any successful democracy. This is a moment for all participants in the political process to ensure free, fair, and peaceful elections in Dominica. The United States calls on all citizens to peacefully engage in the democratic process. The hemisphere is undergoing rapid change. Many countries have made a sharp turn towards democracy. As U.S. Secretary of State Pompeo said earlier this week, and I quote, "There is more democratic cooperation in our hemisphere today than at any other point in history," unquote. The United States is proud to work with Dominica and all the countries of the region to build a more secure, prosperous, and democratic future. That means defending the rule of law that holds everyone to an equal standard and allows for the peaceful resolution of disputes, creating a level marketplace where competition results in better products and improved services, and building an inclusive society that protects citizens' inalienable rights, including freedom of expression. It is a mistake to assume that democracy is some preordained system. Freedom cannot be taken for granted. From my time working in government and in my position as ambassador, I can tell you that peace many times can be fragile, and hard-won victories can be rolled back if we are not vigilant. The Caribbean is a strong and vibrant example of democracy to governments around the world, and should continue to be so. In September, the Caribbean Community, CARICOM, the Organization of American States, OAS, and the Commonwealth Secretariat issued a joint report recommending that the government of Dominica implement reforms to ensure free, fair, and transparent elections. The report of the Joint CARICOM Commonwealth OAS Special Mission to Dominica, which is available to the public online, found a need to improve the system of voter identification of voters on Election Day, adjust electoral boundary discrepancies, enact campaign finance legislation, improve media access for all parties, and increase public confidence in the Electoral Commission and the Chief Elections Officer, among other findings. This is not the first time international election observers have made these types of recommendations to the government of Dominica. The most recent report stated that the proposed reforms are critical and necessary for Dominica to maintain its credible electoral system. Looking ahead, whatever government is in place after the elections, we hope that it will take action on these recommendations in consultation with civil society. Dominica has a long history of successful democratic elections, and we have every trust and confidence this one will be too. That, Pilgrims, is a statement issued by Linda Tagliatella, who is the American ambassador to Barbados and the OECS that came in yesterday. All right. 9 minutes after the hour. Before I get to the other piece on Dominica, just let me get back here. Quickly take a look. Quickly take a look and see what's happening. Whew. Boy, you guys are busy this morning. Kipling says, I'm listening to Diplomats for Sale, Part 2. Ah, okay. Marilyn Saunders is saying good morning to you guys. Lincoln Roberts is saying much love to all the beautiful people of Grenada. Nice to hear from you, Linky. Long time no see. Charmaine DeLille is saying good morning and sending blessings. And John is saying good morning, George in class. Only typing in English today. Well, thank you very much. Give me a break, John. Anthea is saying good morning. Sharon is saying good morning, George and family. Beautiful morning in St. Paul's after lots of rain last night. Don't know if we had lots down here because I slept like a top last night, but anyway, we did have some earlier on this morning. John says, has anyone noticed the sharp increase in camo uniforms, walking and riding in Grenada? I haven't particularly noticed that, but anyway. Bernadette Thomas Alexis saying, good morning, George Grant, to the entire people of Grenada from Toronto, Canada. I wish the people of Dominica a safe and honest elections. My prayers are with them. So am I, Bernadette. Anthony Howard saying good morning from Antigua. The man's on the road. Maria St. Bernard saying good morning and checking in from Toronto. Hello there, Toronto. Arthur Langine is checking in from Brooklyn. Ernesto Jose says, GG, denial of Al Jazeera investigation. But let's not lose focus, as the administration would like. We want to know where the monies for the shrimp farm and the 55 people who were given our passports. I guess you want to know where the money is, Ernesto. Stop and think, Ernesto. Stop and think, stop and think. Help me, help me. Peter Belfon says, he's been away for a while, but he's back today. Good to see him. Joan Wellington says, I saw some news from Dominica last night, and I'm seeing some real angry people in this small island. I wish them a safe election with no major incidents. Ryan says, America will not permit another Grenada debacle in Dominica. I ain't going there. All right, folks, now, this is something I want to share with you. Irvin Pascal is a Dominican ear, nose, and throat specialist who has felt the wrath of the Roosevelt Skerritt-led administration and has published a video explaining to Dominicans why there needs to be a change in Dominica. This was sent to me yesterday. Check it out.
Hi Dominica, this is Dr. Irvin Pascal, E.N.T. specialist, better known as IP, standing once again to protest and call out on you to do what you have to do to save the Dominica. This victimization, this denial of access to health care and E.N.T. services, this failure to build the Marigot Hospital, the failure for free and fair elections, the failure to find our $1.2 billion, it's threatening our well-being. It's threatening our health care. Our health is our wealth. You cannot tell me that after working here for 20 years, that upon retirement, the way I call the retirement, retiring, I mean, I just got new tires. You're going to tell me that for a whole year, Mr. Skerritt has ensured that I cannot take care of Dominicans in the hospital. I cannot operate. A surgeon loses his skill if he doesn't practice all the time. What is Mr. Skerritt trying to do? Ensure that I never operate or that you never get E.N.T. services by Dr. Pascal. This cannot be allowed to continue. This is just a small example of the denial of access to quality health care in Dominica. Though that $1.2 billion could do so much to ensure that you don't have to wait 4 hours and 10 hours in casualty, to ensure that you don't have to be flown overseas. But the governance by Mr. Skerritt, the way he has managed, the incompetence in his ability to govern and care for us has failed. Not having access to E.N.T. services is increasing the pain and suffering of all those little children who need to have their tonsils out. All those elderly people who need to have their lumps checked to make sure it's not cancerous. They cannot afford to go overseas like Mr. Skerritt and the rest of the hungry hyenas. They cannot. Okay, they cannot afford to get flown out. And why should they be subjected to a substandard level of E.N.T. care that was provided for the short time by the E.N.T. specialist from Cuba? who couldn't even talk fluent English. How do you treat people if you can't speak their language fluently? That's the type of healthcare that Mr. Skerritt thinks you all deserve. I say no. I say we deserve the best healthcare available, especially that can be provided by our own. This recklessness, this craziness that's going on in Dominica with providing healthcare and governing us, it has to stop. It needs to stop now. We need to stand up and stop it and prevent Mr. Skerritt from stealing these elections to continue, because that's all that will happen. He will continue. He doesn't have any control over it anymore. He cannot help himself. You all guys have to come out and help him. You all have to protect him. The labor rights. You need to protect Mr. Skerritt and at the same time ensure the future protection of Ma Dominique. Less pain and suffering. More peace, more joy, more wellness, and better health care. I beg you to stand up and fight, stand up and protest, stand up and defend Ma Dominique by any means necessary. Thank you.
Okay, so that's Dr. Irvin Pascal. That's a little piece that was released yesterday and started making the rounds on Facebook. Somebody sent a copy to me. Pilgrims, let me see, it's 16, I am so proud of myself. I'm only 1 minute late getting to Mr. Bierzynski this morning. How are you, Mr. B? Good morning.
I'm very well this morning. How's the sound? How's the video?
The sound and the video on top of the world, man. And I'm not going to say anything differently, because I see that you're wearing a T-shirt there that says, show the people what your T-shirt, deny everything. So I'm not going to deny that the sound is good. I'm not going to deny that the video is good. What's up, B?
I thought you were going to ask why I have chosen to wear this particular shirt.
Well,
this particular inscription.
Hold on a minute. Let me think. Alan, why have you decided to wear that shirt this morning?
Because I was looking at Pastor Senator Dr. Winston Garraway last night.
Oh, man.
And he accused the media, Al Jazeera, I suppose, with the usual suspects, of contributing to a degrading situation of fake news.
Oh.
Now, for the former Minister of Information to be accusing anyone of peddling fake news is almost hilarious. But then he continued about on this fake news business, and they cut off the clip. But he apparently was a little upset that people had accused him of having a fake degree. I believe that a degree is when none of the grades in your course have gone higher than D. So that is why you get a degree. Now, this gentleman, frankly, doesn't know when to keep quiet. So he can deny all he wants. But if you notice from the clip, he was denying matters that allegedly took place in 2000 or 2001. What he ought to be addressing are the very credible reports regarding the shrimp farm. It is possible that one of the reasons that the shrimp farm didn't get off the ground is because, as Mr. Leo Ford stated, when he made certain inquiries, the response he got was, "Speak to my ministers, we have a campaign coming up." Now, as to whether or not certain members of the media have additional information regarding the names of at least 2 individuals who allegedly made claims of, I think, $1 million EC, and in another instance, 200,000 US, for clearly matters associated with campaign financing. So it is easy for the former Minister of Information to deny everything with regard to 2000 and 2001 in Zurich, Switzerland. Deny all you want, my friend. What we want to know about is, more recently, what went on with the shrimp farm project. Who is carrying out the investigation, which was announced with much fanfare, because some people claim that they were investors as well and want to know what happened to their money. Now, with regard to the money, a lot of people have suddenly been doing their sums, and they still can't come up to 125 million for Nawasa, 8 million of which was supposed to have come from the German government, and the 117 million was apparently allocated for a number of projects all over the island. A 10 million here, a 7 million here, here a 10, here a 10, everywhere a 10. But it did not appear that the allocations actually came up to 117, much less 125. So the question remains, where is the money? In the interim, Nawasa has an employee who has chosen to use the opportunity of appearing on the national medium, TV medium, and has chosen to applaud the government for their vision. Now, I don't know where he has been living, but he should know that this is not new. The vision is well established and is founded on the issue of collecting money, and we don't even have to pay back 1 cent. No, I'm not making this up. This is not fake news. And Winston cannot deny anything associated with what I have just said. Done.
That's all this morning? That's it?
What more you want? I suggested to you privately that you need to boil your water unless you want to continue to enjoy a running belly.
Well, hey, by the way, I'm glad.
As to whether or not, it is possible that the recent outbreak of gastroenteritis or running belly, as you may choose to call it, is associated with the quality of our water supply or the frequent interruptions experienced recently, according to the Nawasa employee, because of pressure. Well, I leave you to draw your own conclusions. But I will say to you that I have been alarmed at the fact that at least 2 individuals who are known to me not to eat or drink from the same place, they are not remotely related, but both have come down with fairly serious symptoms of running belly recently. The only common feature connecting them is that they both receive water from the same source. That is the public supply.
Well, you know, I'm glad. I wasn't planning on going in that direction today, but I'm glad that you brought this water issue up because actually last night my water came back. After 2 days without water, my water has returned. In the bathroom, I should say my coffee has returned because it's just coffee-like. But in the kitchen there, it's nice and clean. And I don't know whether you heard yesterday's program or not, but we were being told here by Sharon yesterday morning that she knew of 2 people who had to go to hospital with these symptoms and overnighted and missed a flight out of Grenada because of it. So yes, Alan, there is a problem out there. But so much for water. I really didn't plan on talking
But
water.
hold a second. You remember when Simple Simon went in the Senate and upbraided a young senator for even suggesting that there might be a problem with the water supply in Mount Rich or Mount Rule or somewhere?
I remember.
You remember Simple Simon? He carried on at a rate.
Yes, sir.
I think he accused him of, if not downright unpatriotic behavior. You know, this is something they're very popular with certain quarters. I saw a poster somewhere with 3 prominent Grenadians, and the question was being asked, are they Grenadian? I think there was a George, and a Jude.
Hey, Jude. Let's be honest. Let's tell the people you're talking about George Worm, Jude Bernard, and yours truly, right? Get to the point. Get to the point.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. AB, before we get away from what you started talking about, Lydia James says, fake news. Fake, Dr. Garraway. Your doctorate is fake. I think that's pretty much to the point. Joan Wellington says, the same thing is happening in our healthcare system. The government is investing in so many areas, and our hospital is in such a deplorable state, and nothing is being done about healthcare. Peter Belfon says, the government here will next deny its existence, and they may soon deny the 15-0 majority.
Well, actually, that is easy to deny now because it's only 14.
Yes. And Mr. B, I hope you have a few extra bucks in your pocket. You know, you can go out and buy some of those T-shirts and distribute them to members of government. Deny everything.
No. The issue of financing of T-shirts rests with the money raisers for the respective political parties.
Okay, I forgot that.
I have no way of getting T-shirts other than from a local supplier. However, I will say to you that I have a green T-shirt and the label says it's made in China.
Where does it end?
So I would have thought that political parties would be interested in supporting local businesses.
Yeah.
And if the T-shirts have to be imported in container loads from China, it suggests to me that the interests of local businesses are not at the forefront if you can obtain financing from overseas. According to the report, which may or may not be fake news, some of the demands for campaign financing made in other jurisdictions, I will deny anything to suggest that it's associated with what we have experienced locally. But funding of T-shirts, foreign artists, vehicles, sound systems, all of these seem to be requirements which are met with overseas transmissions of funds, remittances. The problem I have is how is it that the enablers, whether they be highly positioned civil servants in customs, inland revenue, Ministry of Finance, I'm talking about Dominica and Antigua, of course, not here, how they can turn a blind eye to a container load of T-shirts coming in. The T-shirts get cleared from customs on the basis of instructions given, let that pass, and then no duty is paid?
Yeah.
These are the questions people want answered. Well, some people, not the enablers, obviously, because this is what enables the scum to float to the surface.
Bierzynski, I think you're going overboard. I think you're asking a little too much of the political directorate. Come on, man, please, for Pete's sake. Let me get back here to social media for a minute. John Nozinek said a little while ago, convestors. You know, instead of calling them investors, you call them convestors. All right?
Indeed.
Ryan Jaban says, fake news is deliberate disinformation through traditional news media. Tell Senator Garraway this. You have enough nerve to go face Wincy?
But interestingly enough, he is not even the Minister of Information any longer, but he seems to have forgotten that he has been demoted.
Yeah. He wouldn't even, that flew right over his head, Alan, right over, zoop. Okay. By the way, I don't know if you know Donna Joseph, but she's saying good morning to you. Peter Belfon says, it appeared that the hen on the farm did not make it to the farm, and the shrimp is reported to shrink even before making it to the pool. Yours?
Well, I don't know. I have no information on it. All I can say is that from the footage in the documentary, after the sod was turned, not a stone was turned subsequently.
Sod turning. Peter Belfon says, yes, I do recall when he was grandstanding and trying to humiliate a young man. You were just telling a story here, and Peter Belfon seems to agree with you. Richard St. Bernard is saying, hi to you, Alan. A renewed purpose is saying, George, you are too funny. Jean Pascal is saying good morning. John Bruno says, John here on Pity Martinique. We now have 24-hour security as the health facility that doesn't even have a refrigerator. Hold on, let me try that again. Here on Pity Martinique, we now have 24-hour security at the health facility that doesn't even have a refrigerator. Come on, you have health, you have security, please. Jeez.
Well, this is how employment is provided, by having security guards for facilities which have not begun to function appropriately, by employing gangs of people to cut bush instead of providing farm labor, and entertainers who travel far and wide to distract the people from beginning to think why their standard of living has not improved over the last several years, when over and over promises were made. You go see money.
Peter Belfon says, you are right, Alan. They are speaking in tongues and watching with squinted eyes, hence the backwardness and regressing reality we're faced with. Okay. That one is numbed, Alan. Ernesto says, I heard the words of denial, but not suing of the Al Jazeera network. We're going to get to the suing of the Al Jazeera network in just a minute. This is a cute one, Alan, and I think this one might bring a smile to your face. Peter Belfon says, Senator Garraway sounds so far away and far-fetched. It's nice to be able to smile. Donna Joseph says, Mr. A.B., the demoted senator has to make a grand charge to getting back his portfolio and in good standing with the PM again. You think so?
I don't know that that is actually worth the effort, because if you look back, I think once you have fallen out of favor I can't point to any particular examples where favor has again been found, except
Born
perhaps for the
again.
president of the except for the president of the Senate.
What about Peter David?
He's a lawyer. I'm not going to go there.
Don't go there. Okay, don't go there. AB, let's hold on a sec. Joan Wellington says, the people should really stand up to NOASA for better water before the new price of water is added to their bills. For so long, they are having the same problems after heavy rains. They're not seriously addressing these problems, but all they do is jack up the price of water.
Well, there are two issues here. One is that there is a Minister of Public Utilities. So the fact that we are experiencing these problems would suggest that the minister, who is advised by the board at NOASA, has been derelict in the performance of his duties. Secondly, there is a Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, according to law. And that is the entity that has to receive applications for rate increases and determine whether or not such increases are justified. Personally, I believe that the increases are justified. However, questions ought to be asked, and frankly, there ought to be a commission of inquiry into why the situation has been allowed to reach to the state where it is. After all, I think that since 1995, with the exception of 5 years, we've had the same Minister of Public Utilities. So somewhere along the line, remember that the statutory bodies, they are a continuum. They should be the ones to determine the needs. They are the ones who have the professional staff to establish where there are variations in pressure, whether they need pressure release valves to control the supply of water, and as to whether or not the priorities have been correctly identified. It is clear that we ought to have had a replacement of these older pipes way in advance of whatever it is that is now being placed in Lucas Street. The excavation for the construction of which is evident to anyone having to pass by.
Do me a favor and stop associating this new NOASA project with proximity to where I live, okay? Just stop, please. Couple more things here, Amy.
Perhaps you could go and take a picture. Because frankly, the excavation is impressive. One wonders what is being built on that site.
Hilton Hotel?
Yes, indeed.
Okay. Lydia James says, once the PM spits you out, he spits you out for good. Garraway has no return. Okay. Poor guy. Richard St. Bernard says, wonderful social commentary, AB. I guess Richard's not going to spit out AB in a hurry.
Well, if I choose to put my commentary to music, I will offer Richard the opportunity to provide some percussion backup.
Okay, Richard, you heard that? Kipling Francis says, had it not been for this program, I'm afraid the outside world would think all Grenadians living in Grenada are brain dead. Thanks to GG and those wonderful guests and loyal followers. I guess he's referring to followers like you, Mr. B. John says, Lydia just found out that the PM is a Scorpio, like me. and has a very long memory. Yeah, did you know that? Scorpios have very long memories, maybe?
No, I was unaware of it, but I actually thought he had a short memory because the number of promises that he has made over the years that have not been fulfilled leave me to wonder not just whether he has any memory, but whether or not the media experts who surround him ever bother to play back the same videos that we see.
Yeah. Cassandra Mitchell says, when was the last time NAWASA produced audited financial reports? I'm not against the increase, but they should provide justifications. Can you answer that, Evie?
Every statutory body is required to be audited. The accounts are presented to the minister. The minister should make a report to Parliament. But then again, when you have ministers who have become accustomed to do precisely as they wish. So, for example, an inquiry was announced into the marketing board. We saw that the Public Integrity Commission, I believe, of their own initiative, established what the terms of reference would be. I remarked on it previously that I was amazed that one of the terms of reference is to establish when last audited financial statements were produced. That again shows that not just the board, but the minister to whom the board reports has been derelict in the performance of his duties. We have a number of these derelicts in public office, not just on the side of the road, George.
By the way, in the coming days, you're going to see some video we captured of these derelicts. Okay. Oh, Amy. Voila, yo voila, says, good day. I'm a Dominican. And by the way, you mentioned the Integrity Commission. Are you going to their march tomorrow?
Who is having a march?
The Integrity Commission, man. They got this big march tomorrow. Hold on a minute. Let me pull up this thing here. Yeah. Anti-Corruption Day, which is held on December 9th. Yeah. They're marching.
Who is leading this march?
Integrity Commission, man. I've been invited to. I go in tomorrow with my camera.
But I'm speechless. I'm speechless. These politically exposed persons have the nerve to lead a march against corruption. I'll say no more. I don't want to put myself in trouble.
Okay, let me.
Or your media outfit.
You know, right now it looks like we're going to have to skip the GIS this morning because so much going on here, AB. So yes, Voila Yo Voila says, I'm a Dominican. The Caribbean people, Grenadians, need to ask their prime minister today, why did they send police to Dominica to kill innocent Dominicans? Well, voila, voila, I don't know that they sent people to kill innocent Dominicans, so let's not go there. She goes on to say, Grenada is part of CARICOM and the OECS, which sent observers. These observers recommended electoral reform, which Mr. Skerritt ignored. The Dominican people have agreed with CARICOM and the OECS and have since then protested for electoral reform, which is our right under the Constitution. Yet, these Caribbean prime ministers, instead of asking Skerritt to give electoral reform, no, nor did they have a peace meeting. Instead, they send guns and tear gas. May have a point there. Actually, I don't know if you heard me, AB, but I mentioned this morning, I got a call from, a note from Tessa Barry this morning that she received a call from a friend of hers in Dominica that tear gas was fired around 4 o'clock this morning in a village up there. And this woman said she feared for her life. Anyway, let me move on here. There's something else that Peter Belfont says, on a more serious note, the gradual slipping away from practicing decent governance, which includes the adhering to established protocols and standard procedures, Grenada is being shortchanged in several ways under the disguise of democracy. You guys leaving Bierzynski speechless this morning. I don't believe it. Keep quiet.
No. I can't answer that one.
All right, let me try and get caught up here. Ready, one try. Donna Joseph says, Mr. Aby, like you want the PM to sue or excommunicate and bad whatever those media personnel who rely on his utterances for their sustenances. Whatever. Ernest?
Which media people are these?
Not me. I don't rely on them. I have never seen a black cent from the government of Grenada. Actually, they have tried to keep other people from spending their black cents with me. Margaret says, Alan, my mouth just dropped to the ground. You shocked our friend Margaret, and it takes a lot to do that. Hi, W. Canning says, that will be an interesting march tomorrow. Yeah, Alan, let's go on down there. Let's go on down there, take a look. See, apparently they have a lot of these school children coming out with placards and whatever tomorrow. And that's what I'm very curious to see. You know, I hope these children are free to come out with the placards that they would like to come out with.
I only hope that this march does not end up contributing to the further disruption of traffic in St. George's due to the fact that the Marast Hill roadway is closed.
Yeah.
And that heavy traffic is being diverted through St. George's, Halifax Street, Young Street, and onto the Carnage in opposition to the usual flow of traffic. And they will be escorted, that is the plan, by the police. So the last thing I want to see on the Carnage is a march, frankly.
Okay, and they are going to be going around the Carnage because I think they're starting in Tanteen and going down to the National Stadium. Donna Joseph says, don't go there, Aby. We don't have money to bail you out. She says, yes, Gigi, tear gas and bullets were rained down on a village in Dominica, so she heard that too. Sajeev Singh says, why doesn't government focus on increasing the tourism industry? Donna Joseph says, Mr. AB, the few that get invited to the Botanical Gardens press conference. Okay. AB, let's move away from there for a little bit. I mean, I just can't let you get away without getting a comment. I sent you a clip this morning. Did you get it? With Simple Simon?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, shut.
I was out early. I was out early this morning, and I just returned in time for the program, so I haven't seen it. The clip with Simple. And what was Simple Simon singing this time?
Simple Simon. Hold on. Margaret says, George, news reports out of Dominica are that 2 people were shot and tear gas was sprayed. Huh. Okay. So, yeah, I guess what I reported was pretty accurate. Simple Simon, first of all, the government issued a statement yesterday denying selling diplomatic passports. That was all over the news last night, so I'm sure you saw that. But Simple Simon was also in the Senate. And he, he has threatened to sue the people who are tarnishing the good name of Grenada. And if you saw I'm sorry, I just don't have the time to play that this morning, but if you saw it, he was pointing directly at Al Jazeera.
Well, good luck with that. And it just goes to show that the adjective simple is well placed.
Run that by me again.
Good luck with that if he wants to sue Al Jazeera. And it just goes to show that the adjective simple before his name is well placed.
The man was pretty peeved, you know.
Remember, there's a legal maxim. It goes something like, he who comes seeking equity must come with clean hands.
Yes. Yeah.
So I don't know which one of these prime ministers can claim in the matter of sale of citizenship, campaign financing. There are so many photographs of them being entertained or entertaining scoundrels and international conmen. The only recourse that they now have is to do like Donald Trump and say, who him? I don't know him. I never met him. Clearly, the photograph of the two of us together is fake.
Yeah. Yeah. Deny everything.
Reputation? What? Injuring the reputation? What reputation? You talk about Skerrit, Brown. I don't want to come down too far south. I don't want to go there.
Ernesto Jose says Steele is bluffing. He won't go there.
Exactly.
You know, I would really love to get Al Jazeera's reaction to this when they hear that. Because, I mean, these people were thorough. And Al Jazeera was not telling us anything we really didn't know. I just think they presented it in a very, very...
Well, actually, I saw some footage that I wasn't aware of, very interesting footage indeed. In particular, when I refer to enablers, when I see the transfers that were made to specific bank accounts transmitted from the Far East to a gas station in Portsmouth in Dominica, and the man, Emmanuel Nanthan, is associated with the CBI program in Dominica. Frankly, some of these people need to be careful if they ever travel to the United States.
Yeah, yeah.
You remember there was an Antiguan diplomat, I think he died of a pre-existing condition apparently. His name was somebody Ash. He managed to accumulate a lot of wealth in the United States. I would say a few of these fellas need to be careful when they're traveling.
John says, sue Al Jazeera? Then all the details will become public. And I think it was Margaret who made that point a couple of days ago, that, you know, because of discovery, these guys would be opening up a can of worms.
Indeed. And it would appear, based on certain correspondence or an exchange of correspondence with the authorities in the United States, that whatever their reasons may be, they do have in their possession a record of some transaction that took place in a European country in 2000 or 2001, which, as I say, for whatever reason, the American authorities are holding on tight to.
Yeah, yeah. I think we...
But under the, I don't know if they call it Freedom of Information Act or whatever it is, after the passage of the requisite number of years, all of this will come out in the open. So I am not unduly concerned about the legacy that some people are seeking to leave behind, because there is no doubt that it has been tarnished and that their subsequent behavior has not changed. So good luck with them if they want to sue for reputational injury.
Just in case you did not hear the statement that was issued yesterday by the government, it says, I'm quoting here, any attempt to tarnish the name of Grenada and the people of Grenada can be rebutted with facts. Even the Al Jazeera documentary admitted in several instances that they were only making allegations, and by their own admission, stated several times that they could find no facts to substantiate their claims, unquote.
Well, I saw the documentary and I don't recall that it was couched in those terms.
Neither did I.
It referred to the allegations that had been made. It said there was no evidence that in the case of Grenada that diplomatic passports had been sold. But my only question to Simple Simon would be, why can't you publish the names of the people to whom diplomatic passports have been issued? What are the current diplomatic positions that they hold? And what has been the benefit to Grenada of them holding these positions? 3 simple questions, A, B, and C. Simon, come with it.
Okay, I want to share something very interesting that just came in here, Alan. First of all, Margaret posted a link to a video on Facebook. Peter Belfon says, let Grenada sue first. They're the ones for doing a lot of ugly firsts. Go ahead, you stooges. Your platform and springboards for performing those infamous stunts will be removed. Margaret explains here, she says, George, the link I just posted is of Hector John in Dominica talking about the tear gas spraying of the village this morning. Donna Joseph says, I heard one of the persons was a child who got hit. He was wearing his school uniform. Don't know if it's true. I was watching the video from Dominica. Margaret says, yeah, Donna, looking at the video also and seeing the tear gas. So this is real. This is real. Judy Benoit says, so if that is the case, where is the basis for suing? Judy, I don't know. I think that's grandstanding. I don't believe these guys have the nerve to make that move, because it's just going to open up a can of worms. You stand in a court of law, they're going to have to answer a lot of questions, which means a lot of stuff is going to come out. Peter Belfon is asking, is Herbert Blaise listening to Grenada's current PM and predicament? Probably turning in his grave, Peter. Joan Wellington says, last night on the news media, I heard that the journalist is taking issue with Uncle Tilly for answers they get from their questions. Eating of food is nothing new. And the oisin part, I thought, was just a little humor. Anyway, whatever. Sorry, I shouldn't even have gone there. Yes, I know that the media came under fire for suggesting that the Al Jazeera documentary is something that was spurred on by the NDC. Did you hear that?
I didn't realize the NDC had enough money to commission such a documentary, but I would be surprised. Because Al Jazeera has been following this trail for a very long time.
Ronald,
remember,
go ahead.
remember that Al Jazeera was able to establish these links based originally on sanctions busting by these Iranian criminals who set up these offshore shell companies to purchase oil and then transfer the US currency back to Iran. So don't lose sight for a moment of the fact that this is international crime and that these little bit players that we have here from Antigua and further south, that is joke in the scheme of things. One man who was featured is currently in jail for 20 years, but his business partner was actually executed.
Okay.
So I would suggest that these fellas we have playing in people money down here should be very careful when they travel and with whom they associate, particularly anybody who ever had any dealings with the Russian mafia.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Margaret is saying here, Judy, I agree with Gigi that they're just grandstanding. They definitely don't want to go to court because that means all their dirty linens will be washed in public. They're preaching to the choir, to their choir.
Well, I would say that if you have dirty linen, don't try to wash it in Nawasa water.
I told you what I got in my bathroom this morning. Okay. Let's get serious here. Ronald Joseph says, Scarrett has declared war on the people of Dominica this morning by discharging poisonous tear gas and live rounds of ammunition using troops from the Eastern Caribbean. It's a sad day in Dominica. Baby, can you believe this stuff is going on next door?
I don't know that it's going on.
You don't believe all this stuff?
Remember what has been circulating on social media. I have seen examples of individuals wearing shades and chains and whatnot, swearing that they're prepared to die for freedom. That looks to me like grandstanding. I have seen others where they are pointing to the fact that they are associated with fires, burning smoke to obscure the landing strip at the airport. These are acts of civil disobedience, which I cannot see who benefits from this, because clearly the courts and the OECS courts would seem to me to be the proper avenues to follow in order to establish dissatisfaction. Acts of public disobedience, civil disobedience, and vandalism only provide the opportunity for the response by the state apparatus to unleash weapons of destruction. It is a battle you cannot win. It makes no sense unless you expect outside intervention. It isn't going to happen. You've seen the attitude displayed in the writings and pronouncements with regard to the OAS and CARICOM by officially the Prime Minister of Antigua. Unofficially, you have Ronald Saunders linking the OAS with the electoral coup, as he has described the recent electoral problems in Bolivia. Just yesterday, I saw a 6-page blog. It doesn't say who it is, but at the top it says, this is not the official position of the government of St. Vincent. But it goes on with the usual sort of tripe which you would expect coming from the son of the Vincentian Prime Minister. And all of these could be cut and pasted from anything that Don Rojas, Earl Bousquet, Ronald Saunders, or any of those fellow travelers would produce. So I'm not going to spend too much time with regard to what is circulating on social media, because anybody with a cell phone can give you a completely distorted view of what has actually taken place or what is about to take place. I pity the Dominican society. I very much doubt that the electoral process tomorrow will give them the change that they so fully deserve. But I would expect that with the assistance of CARICOM and the international community, including the OAS, who Gaston Brown and Camilo Gonzalez and Ronald Saunders so despise, will continue to bring to the fore the corruption that is endemic in these islands as far as elections are concerned.
That is a very long response to a comment that I made a little while ago, Alan. When I said to you, or I asked, can you believe that this is happening next door? Alan, I don't think anybody will deny, and this is what I was referring to, that there is major unrest in Dominica. I have seen a lot of footage, okay? Now, this morning, when I received a WhatsApp telling me that tear gas had been unleashed on people in a certain village, I thought, okay, I'm not surprised at that. But then the person came back to me and said, and it is believed to be from the RSS. That's where I put the brakes on. Because I'm not saying the RSS hadn't anything to do with this, but what I'm saying is that, do you have proof that the RSS was involved in this? Or is it because a lot of people resent the fact that the RSS has been brought into Dominica, okay? I am not denying for 1 minute that some of the stuff you see out there may be exaggerated, but a picture tells 1,000 words, and I am seeing a lot of vandalism. Ironically, here is a comment here from somebody, hold on, somebody who calls himself Khrushchev Laville. Now, when I hear names like that, I'm reluctant to take them seriously. I'm very reluctant. I mean, if you have something to say, you should have the balls to come out and use your name, right? Stop hiding behind these pseudonyms. But he says, it's a form of protest. There has been no vandalism. No vandalism. How do you call, what do you refer to when you start setting fires in the street and blocking traffic? I see people bringing refrigerator and throwing it in the street and all this. What do you call that?
This is what happens when the cameras are rolling. The cameras, the presence of the cameras encourages this type of activity.
Yeah.
But my problem is, when you do this, it is counterproductive.
Exactly.
Because acts of public disorder will be met with a response. And if, as has been reported, tear gas was used, you don't, unless you can confirm to me that the security forces moved into a village and deployed tear gas for no reason, then you can say, well, what is going on? But my understanding of the reason for deploying tear gas is to disperse an unlawful assembly. So, again, we don't know.
I agree with you 100%.
But I do know what an unlawful assembly is.
Okay. Agree with you, AB. But then again, you know, people you reach a breaking point. You reach a breaking point. And when the U.S. ambassador to Barbados comes out and talks about the failure of Dominica to adhere to the recommendations made by the OAS, the Commonwealth, and who's the other one? It's three of them. I mean, can you understand why people would get to the point where they say, hey, listen, man, enough is enough?
I'm not in Dominica. I don't know.
Okay. Final comment here before I let you go, sir.
Remember our last experience when the masses took to the streets in order to obtain the freedom of their leader, resulted in the massacre at Fort George.
Yeah. I wasn't here, but I heard the stories.
So I would be careful about concluding that people have decided that enough is enough. You need to bide your time. Mass protests in the street. Look at what happened in Iran. In Iran, the price of fuel went up. There were mass protests. The Ayatollahs unleashed the army. Over 200 people killed for protesting against a price increase, mind you. And now the supreme leader has said that those people who died in the protests who were innocent will be considered martyrs. Martyrdom has no attraction for me, and I will not recommend it to anyone either.
All right.
Use the court.
Ronald Joseph says Roosevelt Skerritt wants to steal the elections again after he has done this 3 times before. The people have determined not to allow Roosevelt to steal the elections again. Kim Russell says when the public realizes that their vote is meaningless and the government ignores their words, then they have nothing left but to take to the streets and throw fridges.
I respect that opinion. However, I will say that this hasn't happened in Grenada. And we have had 2 consecutive clean sweeps. So don't tell me that there are not people who feel that their voices are not being heard. But there is a way to go about these things. So I do not hold the view that mass demonstrations, no, let's put it another way. Mass demonstrations are one thing, that attracts attention. But isolated acts of blocking roads, setting fires, trying to disrupt landing at the airport, I believe that is counterproductive. If you recall, in 1973, the churches, the Chamber of Commerce, the so-called Committee of 22, mounted a series of street protests, which culminated in the events of Bloody Monday, January the 21st, 1974. But the pressure brought to bear by the community, even though the demonstrations stopped, led to the Commission of Inquiry into the breakdown of law and order and police brutality. We had elections subsequently where the opposition held 6 seats and the government 9. And we were on track to have a peaceful electoral change, except that certain individuals had taken the decision in 1974, and those individuals were not just in Grenada. You can go to the Workers' Party of Jamaica. You can go into the so-called progressives in other territories who actively supported sedition and public disorder in Grenada, which culminated in the coup d'etat of March 13, 1979. The coup d'etat was not as a result of a series of mass protests. It was a coup d'etat mounted by a communist clique hiding under the guise of a popular revolution. Remember what they promised? Elections in 6 months. Because it didn't happen, because it was born in deception, according to Teddy Victor, it led inevitably to the implosion of October 19th, when the same people went to get their leader, not knowing that their leader had been replaced by an alien ideology exemplified by the criminal code. You didn't say anything about the criminal code. This is what I hear on GBN being addressed. Every time a certain presenter comes on, he tells you about amendments to the criminal code.
Okay.
You don't listen to GBN. It's highly entertaining.
I don't. In fact, I try not to listen to the radio, period.
However, I have gone on long enough.
Okay, quick, a couple more comments here.
But as you can see, I'm a firm adherent to the rule of law.
Yeah. No problem there, sir. No problem there, sir. But I think we live in an environment where we know that the law is not always fair.
Yep, you gotta have patience.
Yeah. John says, Skerritt will call, hold on a minute here, Skerritt will call martial law, mark my words. And Margaret says, highly possible, and he has the RSS to help him.
Which is what the RSS is for. That is why there is the agreement of the states to prevent what happened in Grenada ever happening again. And so the provocations, and this is what I call it, the provocations that are taking place will play into the hands of Skerritt if he declares a state of emergency. You don't want that to happen. What you need to do is let everybody go out and vote. There's a good chance that he will lose more seats. There's a better chance that he will be returned to office. But then you use the legal process to challenge the outcome. And you get the international organizations. When I see the Prime Minister of Antigua complaining about an IMF employee and talking about, oh, that man works for him. Really?
Yeah.
This is the same gentleman who has determined that he, not the governor of the central bank, is the one who will say what arrangements can be made between independent financial institutions. So give him all the leeway he wants. He can talk.
Margaret says, Alan, on their own, demonstrations alone may not be effective, but in tandem with other actions such as pressure from business, religious communities, civil society, etc., can work. You have to fight the battle on all fronts.
We've demonstrated that in Grenada already.
Peter Belfon says, this is...
In 1973.
Peter Belfon says, this is what I've been talking about. Dictators, by their design, create the environment that will lead to them declaring a state of emergency. When this is done, they are better placed to exert their authority and consolidate their position. Agreed?
And because of the arrangements that exist, the treaty arrangements that exist within the community, it is less likely that these wannabe dictators will go the route of declaring a state of emergency, and so we should not provoke them. But bear in mind that the last time in Grenada, when those who thought they were in charge declared curfew and threatened to shoot people on sight, you know how that turned out.
Dave Bertrand says, when people's rights are ignored, there's no other way but to hit the streets. Since 2014, the people have been calling for electoral reform and the voters list and the issuing of voter ID cards. No peace without electoral rights and justice, so says Dave Bertrand. All right, Dave, you've...
Just don't fall into the trap that Scarrett is setting.
John is asking, can an election happen under martial law?
I don't think so. It would have to be postponed, I'm sure.
Okay. Ronald...
Unless you are in Iran or North Korea or Zimbabwe or places like that.
Okay. Ronald says, we do not have voter ID cards, and the voters list is bloated. The population is about 65,000, and the voters, this is so amusing, the voters list is 75,000, and the population is 65,000. Come on, Alan, do the math.
I saw somebody put that out, and somebody responded by saying that the population of Dominica is in excess of 75,000. But similarly, we have on our voters list, which was apparently cleaned up, we have 70 plus thousand, but only I think 56,000 people voted. So I'm not concerned with these outdated voters lists. I'm more concerned with the fact that the residency requirement is widely ignored. When you fly people in from Brooklyn to vote, and they have a time and they go back 2 days later, I'm more concerned with these people who cannot meet the residency requirements, don't know what is going on, and then they fly in to vote.
All right. Khrushchev Laville says the Dominican court and the police are in the pockets of Scarrett. Margaret says here, Alan, I would agree with you if there was a level playing field in the Caribbean. We cannot trust the courts for justice. Do you see how deep this goes, Alan, when people don't even trust the court system?
Well, that is based on experience, because certainly I have seen a measure of independence expressed in court rulings in Grenada as well as at the OECS Court of Appeal, which suggests to me that, in fact, there is an exercise of judicial independence. But we leave it at that. I think it is perhaps based on personal experience, and personal experience will color the outlook of individuals naturally.
All right, Mr. B, listen, I got you on here at 16 minutes after 9 o'clock. It's 23 minutes after 10 o'clock. You do the math.
And I originally only spoke for about 12 minutes, but you insisted we kept going.
Mr. B, I'm not going to deprive my listenership of hearing you. Thank you very much, sir. You have a great weekend. What's the date? Today is Thursday?
The 5th. So I wish everybody a peaceful Christmas season. And remember, regardless of the outcome of the elections in Dominica, the matter needs to be prosecuted through the court system.
Well, you know, listen to this. Here's a comment that's just come in. Kim Russell says, one of the problems we have worldwide is that the police and armies have become the lackeys of the criminal governments that employ them. They now are employed to protect the corrupt systems rather than protect the public. How do you respond to that one, B?
I will respond by saying that that is an opinion, and clearly the correspondent has personal experience to draw upon. I don't, and so I can't speak to it.
All right, this time, Mr. B, you're out of here. Scram.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alan. As always, we appreciate it. You have a good day.
Okay.
Okay. Wow. What a morning. What a morning. Now, I'm sitting here trying to figure out where to from here. Listen, I try to be fair. I try to be fair. I made a commitment, not to the government, but to me. And I'm going to respect that commitment by taking a quick little break here and coming back with a national report. Because it's important that you watch this, because you heard B and I talking about Simple Simon threatening to sue. You'll see that in the national report. So please, let we take that little break we've been talking about and come back right after this.
Why wish upon a star? For a bank is better by far. Whatever you're wishing for this Christmas will give you low interest and no fuss.
Co-op Bank is making Christmas wishes come true. Fix up your home, treat your loved ones, and get everything on your Christmas list this year with our no-fuss loans. As we count down the 12 days to Christmas, you can win awesome prizes every day. Special terms and conditions apply.
Christmas wishes come true with Co-op Bank and you.
Welcome home.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try their sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Alec, we're starting work on the house soon, and I'll need your help.
Sure. What do you need?
I got a service application checklist from Grenlec's website.
This looks easy.
It is. We need a new service.
That's option A.
So wherever there's an A, that's something we must do in order to get the service.
So the other things without an A don't apply.
Exactly. The checklist shows us what documents to bring, the fees, and how soon we'll get the service.
So that you realize for all services, we must complete the right application form, have a valid photo ID, and a certificate from the electrical inspector.
That's right. The electrician will help us apply to the ministry for a certificate of inspection. So we'll use the checklist to get everything we need before going to Grenlec. This will make the process smooth and save lots of time.
Okay, might as well get started.
Grenlec, energizing our Grenada.
Can I have a chicken lunch, please? Large.
Real nice today.
I don't want that.
But you just asked for a chicken lunch.
I don't have problem with the lunch. Afraid the container.
What is the problem with it?
These styrofoam containers, they don't good for the environment. They shorten with life.
What foolishness you telling me? So what you want me to use?
Put my food in this.
Where you get that?
At the food fair, where you could get all biodegradable food boxes and disposable food supplies like cups, plates, anything you could think about. Name it, it's there. And they don't harm the environment. Food fair, taking the lead in cleaning up and protecting the environment. Hey, Like you take me advice, you get in your biodegradable food supplies.
Well, girl, I supporting who supporting the environment. That is why I shop in that food fair.
Food fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets. Products distributed by Hubbard's agency, Kirani James Boulevard.
Just before we fire up the national report, a couple of comments here. First of all, Ernesto is asking me to welcome the Dominican viewers. Yeah, apparently it's pretty obvious that we've had some people from Dominica watching this morning. Thank you so much for joining us. We always welcome you, and we're looking forward to having you join us again tonight. You know, Arthi, somebody says here that Arthi Martin is on Q95 FM. I hope he's going to join us tonight on MECWE Chat, 8 o'clock. And if he does, whether or not he does, I hope that you will too, because this Dominica issue is something that's bound to come up in tonight's edition of MECWE Chat, so please join us. Then, here's a comment from somebody who says, his name is Khrushchev Laville, says, we are Dominicans and we know that this guy Skerritt is corrupt, has stolen the country's wealth. In 20 years of government, he's become one of the richest persons on the island. A man who entered politics without owning a bicycle. Okay. Margaret has a question here. I guess this was for Alan, but Alan's gone. Margaret was asking, are you saying that to ask for ID cards, a cleaned up voters list, and enforced residency requirements is unreasonable? If Skerritt has the majority support, why is he afraid of doing that? This is not the first time that these concerns have been raised and reforms called for. Margaret, John responds to Margaret by saying, Margaret, you'll never change the mindset of a Skerrite or a Mitchellite, sadly. Connie Venice says, Margaret Francis, don't assume for me. Go to the polls and demonstrate your right. Period. What damage the country you love? Why damage the country you love? Okay. Khrushchev says, we're Dominicans. Oh yeah, we read that. Margaret says, no way. What is amazing is that some of these are simple common sense. Okay, folks, as promised, your national report.
Government reassures the nation that its diplomatic appointments as well as its CBI program are conducted with the highest levels of integrity. We'll have details to this story and more in the national report. With the details to the news for Wednesday, December 4th, I am Rakisha St. Louis. The government of Grenada categorically denies the allegations which were recently made in the media regarding the CBI program as well as the issuance of diplomatic passports. The government further states that no one has made any campaign contribution in order to be appointed as an ambassador, neither is there any requirement for individuals to make campaign contributions in order to be considered for an appointment. Citizenship by investment programs are well-established investment programs internationally, which are maintained by many countries, including the US, Canada, and the UK. Grenada's CBI program has been ranked as one of the best-run programs by the IMF, World Bank, and other financial institutions. There were many unfortunate pronouncements which have led to confusion following a recent well-publicized television documentary which leaves the erroneous impression that the issuing of diplomatic passports is a natural extension of or in any way related to the CBI program. The two are governed separately and have their own rules for implementation under clear policy guidelines. The government has issued a statement saying that it has a clear and distinct policy which has been in place and implemented by all administrations since 1974, which governs the appointment of diplomats. That policy is consistent with international norms that have been set out under the Vienna Convention, which governs these matters. In fact, it is important to note that a diplomatic passport does not automatically grant immunity to the holder. The only appointments that are subject to diplomatic immunity according to the Convention on Diplomatic Relations are officials who are accredited by the receiving state. Ambassadors at large, as per international protocol, while they benefit from certain courtesies, have no diplomatic immunity anywhere since they are not accredited by a receiving state. All persons considered for appointment must A. be of good reputation and proven competence, B. not have any criminal record, C. possess the skills necessary to function in the designated role, and D. submit to rigorous and satisfactory due diligence checks prior to and at any time during the appointments. It is categorically false that diplomatic appointments are for sale and have in any way been bought by non-nationals who currently serve the interest of Grenada overseas. Any attempt to tarnish the name of Grenada and the people of Grenada can be rebutted with facts. Even the Al Jazeera documentary admitted in several instances that they were only making allegations and by their own admission stated several times that they could not find facts to substantiate their claims. The government of Grenada reassures the nation that its diplomatic appointments as well as its CBI program are conducted with the highest levels of integrity. Continuing with the news, the leader of government business in the Senate says government will take legal action against those responsible for the production of a podcast which claims that Grenadian politicians have accepted campaign money in exchange for diplomatic passports from wealthy businessmen. Senator the Honorable Simon Steele on Wednesday said Grenada's Citizenship by Investment program is not associated and has not been associated with any political bribes. He said the program is done through due diligence and has been rated one of the best in the region. Al Jazeera Investigative Unit, an international TV network, released part 1 of a 4-part series of the podcast on November 25th, 2019.
We will not be distracted from this. The programs that we have in place are transparent, are accounted for. The Grenadian CBI program, our treatment of this program, we are viewed as the gold standard within the region, Mr. President. The levels of due diligence that we apply, applicants are actually frustrated because it takes so long because we are so thorough with it. What happens in other countries is not our concern. All we have control of is what we do here, and what we do here is proper, Mr. President.
Senator Steele says there is an ongoing battle between countries within the region and developed countries with similar competitive CBI programs. The intent of the developed countries is to get the region to cease their various CBI programs.
The promotional ad to that documentary, and one of the journalists, a British journalist, made the comment, if you know how this offends me, made the comment, we in the UK have this exact program. The difference with the Caribbean is that they are desperately poor. That we are desperately poor. What does that mean? What does that mean? Some neo-colonialist nonsense? They can do it, they can exploit it, but because we are who we are and where we are, and because we are desperately poor, we shouldn't do it.
He says the circulation of the video on social media and via other means will not distract the government from being productive, sustainable, and accountable.
Measures, legal measures will be taken against those who have slandered the good name of this country. We have to protect the good name of this country, Mr. President. And action will be taken, but will not distract us from doing what is right and what's in the interest of the people.
There are also claims against Dominican politicians, which have resulted in major unrest in the country ahead of the December 6th general elections. This is the National Report. We'll have more news after the break.
This is it. The moment is here. It's the 16th annual Republic Bank Right Start Cup Youth Football Finals, featuring top players from secondary schools competing in 4 categories. The final showdown takes place at the Kirani James Athletic Stadium on Thursday, December 5th, starting with the junior boys at 10 a.m., followed by the girls open at 12 noon, the senior boys B division at 2 p.m., and the senior boys A division at 4 p.m.
Still a chance here. Enter the box.
Who will emerge as champions in 2019? Don't miss the 2019 Right Start Cup Youth Football Finals. Sponsored by Republic Bank.
Republic Bank. We're the one for you.
Welcome back. A brand new state-of-the-art Leica F20 surgical digital microscope has been installed at the General Hospital Operating Theatre. The EC $226,987 German-engineered device was installed on Monday with the assistance of the hospital's biomedical team, ophthalmologist and ophthalmology surgeon who will be using the device in the coming days. A representative of the company who guided the installation process says the machine is capable of conducting high-end retina correction procedures and allows the specialist to perform his work using an ultra-high-definition digital monitor. The device, which came with some additional accessories and a 2-year warranty on parts and servicing, is expected to be put into use as early as next week. Dr. Lilia Santos Diaz, a Cuban-trained ophthalmology surgeon at the General Hospital, says having waited for some time to obtain the ultra-modern device, she and her team are very excited to now have it installed and ready for use.
I'm very happy with the new microscope because we're waiting for new microscope around 1 year now, and now this microscope is very good for Grenadian people because they're waiting a long time for some surgery, and it's much better because when the visitor doctor come, they can use our microscope for surgery in benefits for the Grenadian people. We have 100 people in the list waiting for cataract surgery because until today we can waiting for the new microscope.
Biomedical engineer Kishana Batiste gave the assurance that the equipment will be properly and regularly maintained.
We're happy to finally have the microscope on the island. It's been years that we've been asking for a new microscope because the one we had was really in poor condition. And now that it's here, we will take really good care of the equipment, maintaining it on a regular basis, and we'll also ensure that the various field engineers come in at least once every year to do all necessary inspections.
The arrival and installation of the new digital medical device was promised by Health Minister Honorable Nicholas Steele less than 2 weeks ago in his contribution to the national budget presentation, during which he announced that government was committed to the upgrading of diagnostic and other medical equipment and services. That story just ended the national report for today, Wednesday, December 4th. Let's recap the top story. Government reassures the nation that its diplomatic appointments as well as its CBI program are conducted with the highest levels of integrity. On behalf of the entire news team here at the Government Information Service, I am Rakisha St. Louis saying thank you for joining us. Until next time.
Christmas safety tips. Always unplug Christmas tree lights before leaving home or going to sleep. Check your tree lights and outdoor lights for damage each year before you use them. Discard lights with frayed wires, loose connections, and cracked sockets. Do not overload your wall outlets or extension cords. Remind children never to touch lights or outlets. Select lights appropriately. Never use indoor lights outside or vice versa. Happy holidays from GRENADA.
Because your vehicle is a necessity, being roadworthy is critical. Hubbard's Motor Department introduces its new tire and battery sales and service outlet located at Building Supplies Compound in Grand Anse, close to the Sugar Mill Roundabout. Available are a wide range of competitively priced tires, maintenance-free batteries, oils and lubricants. Keeping in mind your busy schedule, this outlet is equipped to provide you with fast and reliable service. Simply drive in and you'll be delighted with your service experience. For more information, contact 440-2087. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
Why wish upon a star? For a bank is better by far. Whatever you're wishing for this Christmas, will give you low interest and no fuss.
Co-op Bank is making Christmas wishes come true. Fix up your home, treat your loved ones, and get everything on your Christmas list this year with our no-fuss loans. As we count down the 12 days to Christmas, you can win awesome prizes every day. Special terms and conditions apply.
Christmas wishes come true with Co-op Bank and you.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try their sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Alrighty, folks, this is where we're going to pull the curtain down on the Thursday edition. Gudday Grenada. What a morning this has been. But we're not going to leave you without sharing a parting word with you. Today's reading comes to you from the book of Mark, Mark chapter 13, verses 9 to 13. You must be on guard. You will be handed over to the local councils and flogged in their synagogues. On account of me, you will stand before governors and kings as witnesses to them. And the gospel must first be preached to all nations. Whenever you are arrested and brought to trial, do not worry beforehand about what to say. Just say whatever is given to you at the time. For it's not you speaking, but the Holy Spirit. Brother will betray brother to death, and the father his child. Children will rebel against their parents and have them put to death. Everyone will hate you because of me. But the one who stands firm to the end will be saved. I'd like you to go check that out sometime later on today. Mark 13, verses 9 to 13. Okay, folks, let's see here. Yeah, John is saying, hey, that's a very apt piece, George. Ryan saying, thanks, George, and God bless. God protect the people of Dominica. I join you in that prayer, Ryan. Ernesto says, I wish the people of Dominica a safe and fair election, violence-free. Okay, my dear friends, on that note, Georgie Porgy, Just snuck into the kitchen there and had a little piece of black cake. Remember that stuff that Sharon brought yesterday? Feeling good. God bless you, my friends, and by His grace, let's get together again tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock. So long.